Cohh.
Everybody, I am here with something very exciting. But before we continue, let's go ahead and talk about it directly. So first of all, my name is Cohh, and I am a streamer here on Twitch. But today, we are not here for me. We are here for that overlay that didn't work. 1 second. We are over here for Exodus. Now, Exodus is a project that many of you have heard of, but we do not know a huge amount about. So today we are taking a very special look, not only at the game itself, but also some of the world first gameplay that we have. So before we begin, let's go ahead and meet the team. Chad, how are you? Hello.
Hey, Cohh. Thanks for having us. I'm Chad Robertson, the General Manager at Archetype Entertainment. We're super excited to talk with you and talk a little bit more about Exodus today and share some of the things that are going on here with the game in the studio. I'd like to introduce James Olin, our studio head. James.
Hey, yeah, this is going to be a really exciting session, and we're also having a special guest star, the guy behind Secret Level, Tim Miller.
It is my honor to be here as a longtime friend of James, and we've been working with them on Exodus for a while, so I'm proud to finally get to put it out there for the rest of the world.
Excellent. And how about us up top? James?
Good show.
You want to introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing on the project?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we have...
You just introduced me. He's forgiving.
Dad introduced me. So, yeah, I'm the head of the studio and the creative head for the Exodus franchise.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, on that note, I know a lot of you are wondering what exactly this is. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to fire this up and we're going to take a look exactly at what we know so far and go from there. So without further delay, let's take a look at what we know.
She was not only brilliant, but courageous. To save her planet, she was willing to sacrifice everything and travel to the stars. As a frontier world, we were barely hanging on. Desperate, we tried digging up our past to find the key to our future.
Max, we need to head back. There's too much interference.
Hold on. I'm getting a reading. I can't...
Max!
No! Wait!
Max! Max! Max!
I'm all right.
What she found that day was a miracle. It would be our salvation. And she used that ship to explore the far-flung corners of the galaxy. A traveler on the hunt for celestial treasure.
Careful, Max.
The data structure is incredibly dense. This is it. Tom! Stay down!
She put her life on the line to bring back artifacts to put us on the path to scientific breakthroughs. She risked everything, time and again. But despite her bravery, eventually her luck would run out. Lucky for us, she made it home safely. While she was alive, she was too humble to speak of her adventures. But at least we, her descendants, can honor her memory. Thank you all for visiting the museum today, and safe travels tomorrow. Hey, that's off limits.
She was always charging headfirst into the darkness. I was always one step behind, looking for the light switch. The Celestials hunted us down. I knew they'd keep chasing us until they ripped our ship apart.
Come on!
And I had to save her. So, I led them away from this world. Away from her. We both knew the cost of using the gates. When you travel at light speed, time slows to a crawl. It was only days for me, but an entire lifetime passed for her. And in the chaos of those final moments, we never said goodbye.
No! Come with me! Wait! Please! Tom! I love you.
Thank you.
Wow. Woo! So I think that we can safely say that sets the scene incredibly well. So I heard today we may have something else here. Chad, what are we thinking about that?
Well, I thought we could talk for maybe a half hour or so about the game first. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, so yeah, I think, what do you guys think? You think we should do that? I mean, we have a gameplay trailer that would show you how to play the game and like what it's about. But
Before we do that, though, I think we should all just say, I mean, that trailer was amazing. Who made that trailer? I mean, whatever company did that under whoever's creative direction, based on the game, it's just a stunning tour de force in science fictional storytelling.
Unbelievable. If only we were in the presence of such a gentleman, it would just be amazing. I don't even know where to get started with that. So anyway, like
Moving on.
what I think we're going to do is probably just talk about the gameplay for about half an hour and then maybe show it at the end if we. Oh, now? You want to see it now? I mean, can we, Jeff? Is that?
They don't want to hear us talk?
Well, I mean, I'm a little insulted, but I think we could maybe make something work. So how about we see some world premiere gameplay from this game? Yeah? Okay.
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
Let's do it.
Preparing to transfer now. This is your last chance to bail, June.
Do it.
weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I got away with celestial tech.
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired.
Many thanks again for your help.
You should have been honest.
This place is forbidden. The price is death.
That's what it means to be a traveler.
Ooh, okay. Wow. That was the first time that I have seen that. I specifically asked not to, and oh my lord, that's great. I have to say I was planning on not having stuff on the screen while we talk about this, but I don't know how we can not have this trailer running while we're talking, because this is incredible. This looks fantastic. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. A lot of people don't know where this project came from and what it's all about. So how about we start with, like, where did the studio come from? How did it form, and what are its roots?
Well, actually, it's goes way back. 2019, I was actually retired from the industry, and our creative director, Jesse Skye, was trying to convince me to get back into video games. And so he convinced me to fly up to Seattle and meet up with the then president of Wizards of the Coast, who's now the CEO of Hasbro. And he gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, dragged me back into the industry. And so we decided to make a video game here in Austin, and we got creative freedom, the choice on who to start the studio with, which my first goal was to get Chad Robertson over here. Actually, I promised the now CEO of Hasbro that I was going to get Chad and another guy named Chris King and Tal Pellig, even though they didn't even know that I was throwing their names around. But they all eventually came to work at Archetype, and so that's how the studio started. And science fiction was something that we all wanted to work on. And well, I guess that's it for the studio. Unless Chad, do you want to, like, he's the general manager, and he's been instrumental in building it up since then. So
Yeah, thanks, James. I mean, the only thing I'd add, that's a great intro. The only thing I'd add is that, as James said, our vision was to do something amazing in a new universe with science fiction from the beginning. And the team that we've built around that is focused on that kind of execution for making a great science fiction experience from the legacy of the other studios that we've worked at in our careers. And we're really excited to bring that to bear in Exodus, and hoping what you've seen so far in that trailer excites you, because we've got a lot more to share over the coming months.
Actually, I do have one other thing to add, which is the first person I reached out to after we started up the studio was Tim Miller. Well, actually, it was Tim's business guy, Greg. But anyways, and I had to fly up to Vancouver to meet up with him. And yeah, Tim and Blur have been instrumental in guiding the look of the game that you now see. So yeah, without Tim, we wouldn't have that movie you just saw, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff that we're not going to talk about now, but will come in the future. But there's also, of course, the Secret Level episode that's coming tonight, right, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll just say that I'll bet that the offer that James couldn't refuse had little to do with money and everything to do with hiring all the great science fiction authors that he loves and that we love, and we've bonded long before this, because we worked on the Star Wars games together way back when. We'd done a lot of work, which is why he was the first call. And I don't think you called Greg first. I think you sent me an email. But I think it's great because we really do. I think that everybody loves making games, but James and I really love the same authors, and he hired all the great authors that he loves to work on this and create stories and material for this. And I think that's why. I mean, that's the first time I've seen that gameplay. Fucking A. It looks amazing.
Right?
I feel
Okay.
it's kind of like you don't need us really anymore, but holy shit, it looks amazing. I'm proud to be part of the journey.
Very cool. Very cool. So going to the game itself, we see this is a game. Now, what drew you to this specific genre? There's lots of different directions and lots of different types of popularity, but is there anything about this particular medium that you guys wanted to tell a story through, this type of game?
Well, time dilation was the big hook for the game, and it's something that's interested me since I was, I think it was in junior high school, and I was reading about Einstein's theory of relativity and time dilation, and my mind exploded. I was like, how can time flow differently according to the speeds that you're going at? But that's essentially what the focus of the game is you're making these choices. Some choices are personal, some are, civilizational, and then you have to go on journeys to other star systems. And for you, it's going to only be like a few weeks, but it will be years or even decades back at your homeworld because time is flowing differently. And you get to come back to your homeworld and see how everything has changed since you left, and how your choices have impacted the world completely differently from your buddy who's like, what? That happened. So anyways.
Okay.
Cohh, if I can add, in terms of you asked about the genre too, like this third person approach for us has always been the best way to tell stories with in the setting of an action adventure game like this. And so the ability to do that and provide RPG agency to players and all the things that we care about as gamers was also key to the choice of the format that we went with.
Very cool. Also, I have to say, you guys are now in this very interesting position where a lot of developers wrestle with, where they want to have major impactful decisions in their game, but in working in real time, they can only be so impactful unless you have like a tapestry ending or something that's so familiar in RPGs. Having actual years transpire between your decisions, seemingly it's going to give you guys a lot more interesting freedom to work with. That's so like things we haven't necessarily seen before are going to be available that in that kind of situation, which that sounds very cool.
Hey James, is the sort of general structure of the way this part of the galaxy settled a secret, or can I say something?
Oh yeah, no.
Can I answer? No, it's not. Please continue.
I just wanted to say that from a science fictional standpoint, I think it's really cool because in a lot of stories or a lot of novels, you kind of have to choose this is the level of civilization, and this is where humanity is, or this is where aliens are. But James kind of constructed this story where you can have all of that in this universe. You have arc ships, which are very close to current day humanity, near future arc ships. And those people, very much like us, are in that world as pioneers. But also this part of the galaxy has been settled for thousands of years by other arc ships who have since evolved, and civilizations have risen and fallen and changed into something that's barely recognizable as humanity. And so you get these like super advanced civilizations, ancient dead human civilizations, and people just like us all mixed together in this melange, which is crazy from a fucking technological standpoint, because you can have, normal weapons and super alien weapons too, and all kinds of genetic mutations and crazy characters. It's just a great setup that really makes a gigantic sandbox for the technology and the gameplay.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's actually something that's been asked us quite a few times is what kind of aliens do you have? And actually, we have no extraterrestrial aliens whatsoever, because everything is descended from, it has a terrestrial origin, whether it's the awakened animals that you see, or whether it's the celestials who come from human stock, or whether it's some of the really, really weird stuff that actually also either comes from animals or humans that have been modified over tens of thousands of years. I always like to say, if humans, without any technology whatsoever, can take a wolf and turn it into a chihuahua in 1,000 years, then what are we going to be able to do with all the technology over 40,000 years to us and to other animals? And yeah, we have some crazy shit in the game.
So I have mixed feelings about him beating the shit out of that polar bear. I'm not sure I'm down with that because he looked like a really nice bear. There it is.
Oh yeah, he does a little smoky there.
But,
So
okay, it is cool. It is super cool. I mean, the fact that you can mix all of that, and then from a character and emotional arc. I mean, imagine leaving your family and everything you love behind, and coming back, and they've all lived their lives while you've lived nothing. I mean, I think that the story we tried to tell in that opening trailer was, for the young man, it was 6 months ago that he lost the woman he loved, and she lived the whole life. And it's hard to imagine the emotional impact of that for the character. So I think it's a really powerful setup for story as well as technology.
Yeah, I can. A telling of loss definitely feels like
you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted in here too. Oh, can you guys? Here we go. 1 second.
I can't hear him. Do you?
Yeah, no, I can't. No, we can't hear you.
Oh,
we still can't hear you. Hey, look at those interesting characters on screen. And the explosions. And look at all that interesting traversal.
There we go. Let's see. Can you guys hear? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're still not hearing you, Cohh.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Of course, we just had to turn it off and on again. Thank you, tech support. Okay,
That's
I looked over and I was like, "That's weird. What's that? Oh, my mic died. Oh, okay, great." So anyway.
we should do that gag in one of the cinematics, like the ship is pushing through the atmosphere, and the engines are offline. And
shout out and special thanks to the team. We ran into about 75 different little tech issues right before the story went live. So before we did this, so yeah, big thanks to everyone there. So anyway, going back to the game. So one of the interesting things I noticed in this trailer is that it looked like this is not just shooting. It looked like there was other stuff involved in here too. So what kind of gameplay are we going to be seeing in this? Like what is our loop in this game going to look like?
Well, it's a role-playing game, so everything that you could imagine in a science fiction role-playing game. Having conversations where you actually get to choose how you want to respond to a situation is something that a lot of the people in the studio, including myself, are famous for working on. So it's something that's a centerpiece of this game. And you're going to be able to, one of the main things that you're doing is you are going out into space to find ancient technologies that you want to bring back to your homeworld so that you can essentially supercharge your civilization. And so you go to worlds and you have to battle your way through creatures and robots, get the loot, and come. Wait, that's Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, it's funny. Someone mentioned that on a message board, and I was like, "Yeah, how did we manage to just recreate D&D in space?" But not really. But anyways, it's a role playing game, and you can expect all of the things that a role playing game of the kind that myself and Drew Karpyshyn and some other ex-BioWare employees have worked on in the past are like.
Excellent. So kind of touching on that little bit as well, and we've kind of covered this already just from the inherent design of this game, but I'm assuming this is going to be a game with a lot of decisions and a lot of opportunities to see other sides of them through subsequent playthroughs and such?
That's correct.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
It's the big focus. Yep.
Excellent. So tell us more about the kind of the animal angle. So it sounds kind of like humans got big, explored the galaxy, didn't find aliens, and then kind of said, "Okay, hold my beer. We're just going to make them then," and kind of went through this. So how involved is that process? Like, is this the kind of thing we're going to be discovering through the game, or can we talk more about like how they selected which animals and how that whole thing started? Because it looks to be a very interesting part of this.
Well, we have on the Exodus game website, we do have a few videos and also some information on how the Awakened came to being. In the game, they're going to have been around for a long time, so it's not going to be a focus on the game like discovering how they were made, because you know how they were made as a character. But they are a big part of the game, as you can see by seeing that bear and then the big frogs and the small frog. It's something we felt that aliens, don't worry, we still have a lot of your classic humanoid style aliens like Celestials and what we call changelings. But The Awakened, we felt that there hasn't been too many visual media that have focused on animals that have the intelligence level of a human. And so we wanted, now there's science fiction books that have done that, but it's not been a focus for games or movies or TV. In fact, the only recent movies that I could think of were the Planet of the Apes, which, yeah, anyways, I'm sure that I'm missing one, and someone in the comments is gonna be like, you're totally forgetting TVX. Anyways.
How can you not remember Street Sharks?
Sequest.
They're more awesome.
Sequest.
So in the game, they serve all facets too. Some of your allies, some of your companions, and of course, as you see in the trailer, some of your enemies too. So there's a nice palette there that we take advantage of across the board, which we think players will really like.
No bears were hurt.
No bears were harmed in the making of this video. Yes.
Yeah. Or small cute
one
frogs.
thing is clear in this future is that humans are still dicks. There's
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't really escape that, can we?
Some nasty people in this future,
For
and
sure.
some noble ones too.
That's good. Gotta have a bit of a balance, right? You can't just all be. Yeah, absolutely. So going into the design thing a bit, this game has an interesting name and an even more interesting kind of sub-name to it. So what exactly is Exodus, and what are the Travelers?
Well, so Exodus was actually a happy accident because, as you might know, every good name has been taken. Everyone, they're all taken. We went through every name we could think of, and we eventually learned that Exodus wasn't taken. And it was like, wow, this is actually perfect, because the entire setting is based around the Exodus from Earth, and it's also something that we've called the journeys that the Traveler makes when they are going off to other star systems. Now, the Traveler is essentially what the player plays as, and they are kind of they're the humans. They're kind of like the human Indiana Jones who goes off to these dead worlds and gets all the ancient technologies, like the science fiction version of the Ark of the Covenant, brings it back, and then they transform into. They have to also fill the role of, in some ways, Dune's Paul Atreides, where they have to use this technology to help shape their world. So it's kind of a combination of the two. And that's what Travelers on different worlds fill that role. They're very influential people because they're essentially not only the tip of the spear on technology, but they're also the people who are making political decisions and societal decisions that impact how their world is going to evolve.
Yeah, there's an element to them too that's elite, and it's special to be a Traveler, and so we really want to celebrate that in terms of the growth of the player throughout the experience that players will have.
One of those things that they explained to me early on, because I was asking questions, back to my comment about humans are dicks, that you have these disparate worlds all spread out, and they all have different levels of technology that sometimes extremely far apart, but they don't necessarily help each other. It's not like there's one humanity and everybody is moving towards a singular bright future. It's very competitive environment. So these, especially like the new humans that are just off the Ark, that just arrived, they're put on backwater worlds, and they have to find, they have to go scavenge other technology to bootstrap themselves into this new society, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. On that same vein of things that you're finding very interesting in this. Now, of course, with the preface of what you can tell us, but during development, I'm sure you guys have seen many things that kind of you saw and immediately thought to yourself, okay, this is our game. This is Exodus. Can you tell us any of those moments, like any favorite parts of the world development you've done, or anything that's kind of that made you kind of realize this is something really special that you're working on?
I've got something, James. If you
Sure.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Thank you. One of the things you can see in the trailer and snippets is there's an element in the universe called Livestone. At the end of the day, think of it as sort of something created by the Celestials, but kind of a hybrid of mineral and live vegetation that can be controlled. And there's a select group of humans that can control Livestone, and the player character happens to be one of these. And if you watch the trailer closely, you can see it manifested in at least a couple different forms. But there's some things that happened during development as we were exploring that idea and saw it evolve over time that really kind of captured us early on, and it became a key part of the growth of the Traveler throughout the experience. And there's some cool things you can do with Livestone, both for exploration and for combat, that we're not going to talk about in too much more detail beyond what's revealed in the trailer, but that's a really nice element to the game overall for us, I think, that we think stands out and feels really good.
And that's an element that came from one of our science fiction writers, Peter F. Hamilton. He's we actually already have a novel out that you can buy. It's a hefty tome of 1,000 pages, but Peter wrote the book. He's writing the sequel right now, and he created a lot of the IP elements that are featured in the video game. And
so wait, that book is on this game?
Yeah, it's called.
There's a 1,000-page book of lore just like sitting there ready for this game. Okay, that's really great news.
Well, it's an exciting novel, and it's got a cliffhanger ending. And Tim, you've read it already, right? You have to have read it.
Of course.
Oh my gosh! And you claim to be a Peter Hamilton fan. No,
guys, just real quick, I can remove this stuff later if you need me. Just let me know. Like, we can cut stuff from that.
Well, let me tell you something. Yes, I am a Peter F. Hamilton fan, but I'm also an Adrian Tchaikovsky fan, and you are responsible for that. And I've lost maybe a year and a half of my life to his books. I cannot keep up with the motherfucker. He writes so fast, and it's such he's another one besides Peter that is a great primer for this world. But I have read all of Peter's. Sonny's Edge, the very first Love, Death, and Robots episode, is a Peter Hamilton short story. I love this. I love it.
Love every episode of that show. All right, so now that we kind of have a better feel about what the game is, kind of a better idea about the world, who are we going to be playing? So who was your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for June? Was it based on someone or something in particular, or do you guys what is your vision for this character?
Well, it's kind of a complicated question because we do want, June has to have a personality because, there's a lot of acting that goes into all those scenes. But at the same time, June has to be your character, and June can be male or female, and you'll be able to, well, I don't think we're supposed to talk about character generation right now, but let's just say that you're going to be able to be male or female, June, and the choices you make kind of help define who June is as a person. Where did June come from? As I said before, June's kind of like, well, I don't want to say this because all my writers would murder me, but like, Indiana Jones times Paul Mahdi, but Paul Atreides, because
wow.
It's because June has the serious task of leading their world, but they're also a fun person, as you can see in the clips there. They're also going on adventures, so it's kind of that combination.
And he or she has an incredible backstory that we will reveal at some time. And Tim helped us create that story too, that we'll share once the time comes.
Oh, and by helped, you mean create?
Yeah.
Most awesome.
Sorry for the tease.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. All right, so we're with this trailer, we're seeing all sorts of new things. We're seeing enemy types, we're seeing new environments, most importantly, we're seeing how the player interacts with them. But I personally have kind of a big question here, because this for a lot of people, we're very interested in the style, and that is, there are many different ways to have a game like this exist on more of a meta structure. You can have like a linear mission-based boom, boom, boom. You can have a semi-open world like Metro Exodus. You could do a full open world like Skyrim or even Starfield in some ways. What approach are you guys taking with this game? What's going to be, not necessarily the minute-to-minute gameplay, but what's going to be our more overarching style of gameplay?
We're kind of doing what we know best, which is, while you do go on missions, and those missions have lots of optional areas that you'll be able to explore, you can decide how you want to explore the missions, like which ones you want to go on first, and how you're going to explore them. And then there might be things that you do on your home world that unlock stuff on missions that you wouldn't normally be able to do. And by the way, all of this was made crazy hard because of time dilation. So we had to figure that one out early on, so that our budget wasn't like $1 billion. But so it's very much similar to, say, you know, a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age Origins. So it's like, yeah, that's the model that we have gone with.
It looks like your budget was close to $1 billion in the gameplay.
Very cool. So that must throw kind of though an interesting kink from a design perspective, because you have that situation where you want to leave, you know, as much open for the player to explore, but at the same time, the world is like chunking forward in years of time every so often. Like that must be a very, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how you guys handle that. That's a wild way to look at it.
Yeah, that's part of the magic, Cohh, for sure. We're excited to reveal more of that in gameplay sometime soon.
Well, I know a guy if you need to show any videos, but
having been behind the scenes and seen the amount of writing and stories and artwork generated for this game, it's pretty hard to believe. I mean, it's just a mountain of stuff. It's crazy. So much design, so much beautiful design.
I think I speak for all of us when I say the more the better. So that is great to hear. Great to hear.
But we do want to build the game, so we made sure that it was doable, because there's certain tricks that over the decades we've learned, and yeah, we've employed all of them.
There's an ex-Blur supervisor who works with James, and he's a sci-fi nerd, and he's told me many times as we worked on this project, he's like, oh my God, there's just too much stuff. We can't do all the stuff. There's so many ideas. At some point we have to pick which cool ones we're going to do and focus on them, because it really is just an endless amount of cool shit. Because when you think about it, it does span this huge timeline. It would be hard enough to do one era of science fiction well, but
I'm still wrapping around my head like how you chose what animals to supersize. So outside of all the other stuff, like, yeah, that is a little bit of mind blowing things to think about. So one other big thing, now that we've kind of talked about the meta progression a little bit, let's bring it back down to the character. So how is our character going to be progressing? Are we going to be like really specializing June to do something, or is it going to be more of like kind of just complementary to what we're doing already? How are you guys approaching that?
Oh, you can go into the
progression for us takes a multitude of forms. Like we look at choice in several different levels. So there's sort of the choice in terms of how you approach minute-to-minute gameplay, and we give some options in combat that we think players will like in terms of how they deal with different scenarios and fights that they get into. But the choices they make across, the bigger parts of the story lead to manifestations back in places like your home world in the game that we think will be unique, and those affect both more the immediate term in terms of your loved ones and your companions, but then those choices also impact and resonate across much longer periods of time. And it's through time dilation, like we've said, that is really the way that we're able to achieve that. But if you look at the choices in terms of the player's going to make in terms of their personal progression, it takes the form of a couple different things. There's progression for your companions. There's progression for you, where you can make choices in terms of your skill set and the abilities that you have. And then without going into too much detail, we've talked about a little bit about the way Livestone works in the game and the way what you see the player using in their gauntlet. There's some progression there that's pretty cool too as well. That's a unique feature of the game that we think players will like.
You also get to unlock different technologies according to how you use the remnants you bring back. Just imagine if Indiana Jones had to choose how to use the Ark of the Covenant. Do I use it as a super weapon against the Nazis, or do I bring it back to the US and use it as a font of knowledge to help the country become better? Like you'll have companions who have different opinions on it, and you have to decide. And then you go on an Exodus and you come back and you get to see what your decision did. And also, you might have some weapons that weren't available before.
Interesting. And again, just really seems to lean into the replayability, which is, I think, a great thing for all of us that want to keep diving into these types of games. So on that note, you guys talked about it just a little bit, but what can we expect from the companions? Is it going to be the kind of thing where there's a couple people with us, or are we going to have like a team? And how far are you guys really wanting to go with that?
Well, you have a team. You don't bring your entire team on every mission. You have 2 team members with you on every mission, and your companions, you're going to be able to do a lot with them. You will have a relationship with every single one of your companions. You're going to be able to romance some of your companions. Your companions are sometimes going to be at each other's throats, and you're going to have to be the person who actually as the story progresses, you're going to be choosing to follow some companion's advice over the others, and that might rupture your relationship with those that you didn't side with, and your decisions are going to have huge impact. So there'll be there's a lot of relationship stuff there that's going to happen that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and the slate of them overall, we think is really going to be compelling. We've introduced 2 that you can see on our website, and if you look closely at the trailer, you'll get a glimpse of a few more. But there's more to come, and not to be the constant tease, but ultimately that set of things that we have available in this universe to deliver through the characters and through the companions specifically that you'll play with, we think is pretty cool, and it's a nice part of the IP.
Also, some of the companions change radically depending upon some of the choices you make. It's because with time dilation, we can just, if you leave a companion behind, imagine all the changes that they can go through while you're gone. For them, it might be a decade, which also makes the artist crazy, because it's like they have to like, okay, so we just can't do this companion. We have to do the companion 10 years older. Oh, and maybe even older. So
That's what, thinking of all the different things that could occur from that kind of time skip regularly is, you guys have a lot to deal with. That's very wild. So many different options. So as we're getting closer to the end here, I first of all, I know we wanted to give a little bit more time to some Q&A from chat. If you guys have any questions, as we kind of wind down here, we definitely want to watch the trailer one more time, which is about 5 minutes. So we have a few more minutes here. But I wanted to ask you guys, this is a little bit on the spot, but let's say you had, and this is for each of you, let's say you had a couple sentences to, and because there's a lot of first-time viewers here, a couple sentences to sell Exodus. What would be your quick elevator pitch to what Exodus is and what we can expect from it? We can start with Chad.
Start off, Chad.
Sure. Action adventure role-playing game built for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. The coolest part of the game overall for us is the manifestation of time dilation into the story and into gameplay. We think that does some really cool things for us, both in terms of the emotions that players are going to feel from the consequences of the choices that they make, all the way to minute-to-minute choices they make while they're actually playing the game. So we're super excited to have players see all of that.
How about Tim? You go next, so I can take notes.
I would just say big action space opera. That's what it is for me. Sorry, James, not much time there.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Hey, this is still to the point. We like. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I would say that for me, it's the ability to live in a science fiction universe where you can make these epic decisions that take place over decades or even centuries. And it's just, you've never really got to play that kind of character before, that epic Paul Atreides style character. And I think that will be really different for people.
Very
and
cool.
I want to play.
And plus there's the time dilation thing is going to be crazy, because you just, there's so many cool story like opportunities there. I don't want to say any because I'd spoil them, but one of them, like Tim and Blur are going to be showing off today, because it's like the secret level episode of Exodus. And
right on.
It really focuses on what time dilation,
which is out now, by the way. Is it out right now? Could people go watch it?
Yeah, it is. It's out right now. Right,
awesome.
Tim? You can watch it.
Did it drop today? Or it's dropping today? I don't know what time now.
I think Chad is saying not only is it out, I've heard a lot of very favorable things so far already.
There you go.
Good job.
Nice.
Very, very cool.
I got so many like calls on like, man, I watched every secret level episode. It's amazing. I'm like, no, you haven't. There's seven more coming. I love that story. I happen to have personally wrote that one of all the 15. That was the only one I was super involved with every day, and it's based on a Jack London story that I really love called Odyssey of the North. That was a love story that takes place over 20 years or so, and we switched it to an Exodus friendly universe. But it just seemed very apropos, because for the hero in that story, his love remained unchanged, but his love interest changed greatly, and it felt like it fit Exodus in a really interesting way. So if you're going to steal from the best,
Nice.
Yep.
And it's a great episode, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Very, very cool. Been seeing a lot of questions from chat. We can just do a couple basic ones before we do the trailer here. Like, is it single player or co-op?
Single player.
Perfect. I think you mentioned this earlier, but what platforms are we going to be available on?
PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Awesome. Somebody asked, if I like Mass Effect, how hard will I like your game?
Really hard.
Really hard.
Really hard. Okay, there we go. Do you know what?
Drew Karpyshyn, the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, who's anyway.
So maybe even ultra hard. That's
Nice.
pretty hard. That's pretty hard. So gentlemen, as we wind down here to the last bit of our show here, not only do I want to personally thank you guys so much for debuting this and joining us to talk about it, but as we wind out, we'll probably run the gameplay outro and then just say some goodbyes. So is there any last things? Is there anything else you'd like to say to the community about the gameplay, about the game in general, about anything coming in the future? The floor is yours.
I just
I
add
would
that,
say-
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say we've gotten, we actively follow all the comments we get on our social. And so we really appreciate the support and the questions that are coming in. And hopefully we've answered some more questions today. And we've got a lot more that's coming over the coming months as we get closer and closer to revealing more of Exodus to the public. But thank you very much for your support. It really means a lot to us and the team.
Also, if you liked the 2 movies that Blur has done so far for Exodus, don't worry. There's more from where that came from.
And that doesn't include the secret level episode. That is part of the second big drop of secret level episodes today. And there's also going to be maybe another announcement about secret level later today. So
today,
keep your ears peeled.
Oh, if you're doing a sequel, I want in.
You know where we live.
All right.
Oh man.
You know what, James? I happen to be talking to. I'm going to name drop here, but Jim Cameron, and I told him what we were doing for the next one. The next one and he was like, "Fuck, count me in." Like, he was just, wow, we're just like, maybe guest director Jim Cameron. No, I'm not.
A soft maybe announcement.
That's not the
there
announcement.
you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys heard it here on the CohhCarnage channel. Tim Miller announced. No, okay, we're not going to. Okay.
But you know what? I think this is important actually for people that love this sort of material. Like, James is a true nerd. I mean, he almost out nerds me, and I feel like it's great to be able to work with them. And the guys like Jim. Jim is a big Adrian Tchaikovsky fan too, and I introduced him to Peter Hamilton, and it's great to be able to talk to people that love this stuff as much as we do. It's not that we make games or movies because we need a paycheck. We do this because we love it, and hopefully we can feed our families at the same time. But first and foremost, it's the love of it, and it's an honor to work with people that love it as much as I do. So,
I agree.
Awesome, man. That's inspirational. All right, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to do one full screen watch of this trailer with beautiful sound. We'll come back here and say our goodbyes. And I just want to thank you all again. Let's check this trailer out one more time, full screen, guys, because this thing is something special.
Let me light the way for you.
Let's watch.
Thank you.
Preparing to transfer now. This is your last chance to bail, June.
Do it. Loaded weapon is a hell of a way to greet your new partner.
So you're June.
We're burning time. Now that we're all best of friends, let's make each other rich.
I'm not just here to look pretty. I've got away with celestial tech.
I see a lot of potential in this new partnership.
Let me light the way for you.
Target acquired.
Many
Many thanks again for your help.
You should have been honest.
This place is forbidden. The price is death.
That's what it means to be a traveler.
Just wonderful. So one final thing before we go, I already know that especially after today, there are thousands, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands that are now people who are very interested in this product. So what is the best way that they can follow along with Exodus, get all the updates? What is the best way they can do it?
So for sure, go to exodusgame.com, and we'd love it if everybody joined our founders program. We've got some exclusive rewards that come in with that over time, and it's the best way to stay connected to us and keep up to date with what's going on with Archetype and the game overall.
Excellent. Well, there you go. Well, guys, this has been a very special presentation of Exodus Become the Traveler. I want to again thank Chad, James, and Tim for being here. This has been nothing short of awesome, and a huge... Please.
One more thing, just if everybody likes this and would like to see a movie set in the Exodus world, write it voluminously in the comments. So they let us make one.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Jim really wants to make one.
Yeah.
Well, dang. There you go. Okay, well, fantastic. Well, you guys have heard it here first. You now know what to do. And again, thank you, James, Chad, and Tim. It has been an absolute pleasure. This will be available on YouTube as well as all the places that we are later. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. See
Thank you, Cohh. We really appreciate the time and the support.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day. Now, my guys, the stream's going to go down for just a few minutes. I'll be right back up in a few, so I will see you all in just a minute. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in a few.